Hi, I'm Lindsay Jordan and I'd like to share with you very quickly some thoughts on how and why you might like to use blogs to engage your students in the curriculum. I'm going to focus first of all on the why part. Many years ago, Vygotsky very helpfully pointed out that language is a symbol for stuff, which makes it very useful for finding solutions to problems. This is something that we've become much faster at since the days when we lived in caves and didn't talk proper. I was interested in seeing how recording my own thought processes in an overt and public way would lead to deeper learning. So I picked out some literature I thought might be relevant and started blogging my responses to it. I also started building up my own personal learning network through tweeting my blog posts and commenting on other people's blogs, and observed the outcomes of these interactions. So that's how my own experience started. Now let's recap on a few things we know about learning. Learning is generally based upon an activity or an experience upon which we reflect. This ideally happens within a community of learners. Let's start with the reflective process and look at how this can be enhanced through blogging. Blogs are easy to publish. All the techie stuff is taken care of, leaving you to focus on the reflective process while producing something that looks slick and professional. And the fact that you're writing for an audience encourages you to articulate and rationalize your thoughts and to state their relevance and their implications, because this is what the reader will want to know. Hyperlinks add space and time to the reflective process. They can act as breadcrumbs to record where the author's been, or signposts to indicate where the reader might like to go. Pingbacks are incoming links. They show where someone else is linked to the blog and can often be a good source of alternative perspectives on a similar topic. Tags and categories allow the author or the reader to filter posts, find strands of similarity, and make retrospective connections. Looking back at what we know about learning, what can blogs do to support the development of a community of learners? There are many ways of drawing readers into a blog and building a community, many of which we've already mentioned. But what is it about the blogosphere that encourages people to think and behave in ways that are conducive to collaborative learning? It might help if we look at the concepts of cognitive, social and teaching presence, which Garrison, Anderson and Archer present as the key elements in a community of inquiry. Cognitive presence is about the construction of meaning through sustained communication. Social presence is the degree to which learners are free to project themselves as real people. This promotes the construction of personal meaning and also ups the enjoyment factor. Teaching presence is the degree to which a tool allows an activity to be designed and facilitated with the aim of achieving learning outcomes. Now there may be a trade-off between social and teaching presence, so the achievement of specific outcomes might require a higher degree of facilitation. This can impact on the social presence of any blogging activity if it isn't handled with sensitivity. This is an important consideration when introducing blogging to students, as social presence is thought to be one of the major strengths of blogging as a means for collaborative learning. Which brings us on nicely to other things to consider when using blogs with your students. The most effective educational application of blogs is as a reflective tool, but do make sure that there is something of value upon which to reflect that will benefit from that reflection, something that offers discrepancies, disappointments and uncertainties that students can explore. Linked to this is ensuring students understand what reflection is. You could offer them a simple framework such as articulating and analysing the problem, and most importantly deciding what action to take, if any. But don't be too prescriptive in asking students to use a set format for their reflections. Stages should be presented as conceptual elements rather than an operational process, but do bear in mind that conclusions or outcomes might not emerge without some direction. Here's a biggie. Should you assess a reflective blog? Lots of people say no, but some say yes, as long as you assess against a criterion that isn't related to the content of a student's learning. Borner suggests this one, along with some useful tools for identifying evidence of reflective thinking. You might also want to assess how a student's interaction with peers has contributed towards the group's learning. You might consider adapting a rubric for assessing online discussion. In preparing your students to get the most out of blogging, you could discuss the issues of access and identity and appropriate levels of disclosure. Discuss the use of password-protected posts and pseudonyms with your students and consider whether a closed network of blogs is feasible or appropriate. There are some great worksheets on digital identity from the This Is Me project that you might want to adapt for your students. Skills-wise, do consider whether your students are ready and able to get the most out of blogging. If they've done very little online discussion or peer feedback, for example, maybe get them more used to that first before you attempt to introduce them to community blogging. Finally, remember that reflective activity has the power to tap into difficult issues. Don't assume all your students' reflections will be positive, productive, discreet and tactful. You've been watching a short guide to using blogs in higher education. For a longer version, check out the accompanying paper and please feel free to share your questions and your own experiences on Ning. Thanks for watching.